I have a confession to make, and I have a feeling I'm not the only one here.
Oh.
Picture this. It is 11:30 at night. You are exhausted. You know, logically, that you have a high-stakes meeting at 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain, I mean, the part of you that pays taxes and remembers to floss is screaming, go to sleep, you need 8 hours.
But you're not going to sleep.
No, there you are, just bathed in the blue light of your phone, watching videos of people, I don't know, power washing driveways for 45 minutes straight.
Oh, the power washing rabbit hole. I know it well. Or maybe it's the classic stress eating scenario.
Right.
You've had a rough day, you walk into the kitchen, and you're halfway through a pint of ice cream before you've even really registered that you took the lid off.
Yes. The frustrating thing isn't just that we do it, it's that we do it while a part of us is actively watching and saying, don't do this, stop, you're going to regret this. It's that total disconnect. Why does knowing better almost never lead to doing better?
That is the central tension we are unpacking today.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to frame this as a moral failing, like, oh, I just don't have enough grit. Or, I'm just weak-willed.
Yeah, that's my go-to.
But the research we're looking at today suggests that grit is actually the wrong tool for the job. Completely.
Which is a relief, honestly, because my grit supply is currently running on fumes.
You are not alone there. So, for this deep dive, we are exploring a really compelling talk and a whole body of research by Dr. Judson Brewer.
Okay.
He's a psychiatrist and an addiction expert who has spent his career studying the neuroscience of why we get hooked on things.
And his conclusion.
His headline finding is pretty radical. The way to break a bad habit isn't to fight it. It's to get curious about it.
He even mentions a study where they told people to keep smoking in order to quit, which, I mean, that sounds like the worst medical advice I've ever heard. It sounds like a scam.
It does sound like a scam, or at least highly counterintuitive. But by the end of this, I promise it's going to make perfect sense, biologically. But before we get to the solution, we have to look at the machinery. We have to understand why our brains are designed to sabotage us in the first place.
Because it really does feel like a design flaw. If I'm designed to survive, why am I eating sugar until I feel sick? Why am I compromising my sleep?
Well, that's just it. You're designed to survive, just maybe not in the modern world. Brewer breaks this down into what neuroscience calls reward-based learning.
Okay.
It's deeply ancient programming. We're talking about the part of the brain we share with, like reptiles.
So this is the hardware upgrade we missed.
Essentially, imagine you were a prehistoric human. You're foraging on the savannah. You see some berries. That is your trigger.
Okay, trigger.
You eat them. That's the behavior. Now, if they taste sweet and give you a calorie burst, your brain releases a dopamine hit. That is the reward.
And we usually think of dopamine as just pleasure, right? Like a party drug for the brain.
We do, but in an evolutionary context, it's much more functional than that. It's a learning signal. It's like a save button.
Save button?
The dopamine tells your hippocampus, remember this. Remember what you ate and exactly where you found it. Trigger, behavior, reward. It's a brilliant loop for keeping you alive in a resource-scarce environment.
Okay, so if I'm a caveman, this loop makes sure I don't starve. It makes sure I remember where the food is.
Yep.
But I'm not foraging for berries. I'm foraging for stress relief in my email inbox. Or the pantry.
And that is where the modern mismatch kicks in. Brewer points out that our brains are incredibly efficient. At some point, this machinery got co-opted.
Co-opted how?
The brain realized, wait, you know that dopamine hit you get from sugar? That makes you feel better when you're sad, too.
So the trigger shifts. It goes from I see food to I feel emotional discomfort.
Correct. Let's say you're a teenager. You're at school. You see the cool kids smoking. You feel awkward and lonely. That is a negative emotional trigger.
Right.
You smoke a cigarette behavior, and suddenly the chemical hits. Plus, you look cool.
Yeah.
You fit in. Reward.
And the brain stamps it. Next time you feel awkward, smoke.
And here is the kicker. Repeated practice makes this automatic. It moves from a conscious choice to a habit loop. You stop even thinking about it.
Oh, wow.
You just feel stress, and your hand reaches for the cigarette or the donut before you've even agreed to do it.
It's interesting because we usually view habits as bad decisions, but you're saying it's actually a successful learning process. My brain did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Exactly. It found a solution to your stress and automated it. The brain isn't broken. It's working perfectly.
It's just running a script that is, well, it's maladaptive for the long term.
We've moved from learning to find food to survive to learning to eat cake to survive a stressful email.
Okay, so I have this loop running in the background. Trigger, behavior, reward. Now, the standard advice, the advice I've tried and failed with 1,000 times is cognitive control. Just stop. Use willpower. Just say no.
Right, the white knuckle approach.
And Brewer shares a pretty funny, if painful, personal story about how well that works. He talks about learning to meditate. The instruction was dead simple. Focus on your breath.
And if your mind wanders, just bring it back. Sounds easy enough.
But he says he was sitting there, middle of winter, t-shirt on, and he was sweating. He was physically sweating because he was trying so hard to force his brain to stay on his breath.
Wow.
And it was just bouncing all over the place. He was fighting a war against his own mind.
That image of sweating through a t-shirt while sitting still is the perfect metaphor for willpower. We think if we just muscle it, we can override millions of years of evolutionary programming.
But we can't.
Biologically, it's a fight we are destined to lose.
Why is that, though? I mean, I have a prefrontal cortex. I'm a rational human being. I can do complex math. Why can't I just tell my lizard brain to shut up?
Because the prefrontal cortex, the PFC, is the first thing to bail on you when the going gets tough.
It's a fair weather friend.
It really is. The PFC is the youngest part of the brain, evolutionarily. It handles cognitive control, understanding that smoking causes cancer or that you shouldn't yell at your boss. But Brewer explains that when we get stressed or tired or hungry, the PFC goes offline.
Wait, so the part of my brain that I need to stop me from stress eating shuts down when I am stressed.
It's a cruel irony, isn't it? The mechanism that triggers the bad habit, which is stress, is the exact same mechanism that disables your defense against it.
That's why I can be perfectly disciplined all morning when I'm fresh, but the second I walk in the door after a brutal commute...
You snap at your kids or dive into the pantry. Because the me that knows better has left the building.
It's gone.
Exactly. You are defaulting back to the ancient automatic loops. You're bringing a calculator to a knife fight. You're trying to use logic against a survival drive.
And the survival drive wins every time.
Because it's stronger and older.
This explains so much. I always thought it was a character flaw. Like, why am I so weak in the evenings? But you're saying it's metabolic, it's neurological.
It is. And once we accept that force doesn't work because the forcer goes offline, we have to look for a different entry point. We can't fight the brain, so we have to hack it.
Which brings us to the aha moment of Brewer's work. If we can't use force and we can't rely on logic, what is left? And this is where that smoking study comes in, the one I was so skeptical about.
This is the turning point. So Brewer's lab is trying to help people quit smoking. We're talking hardcore smokers who have tried everything.
Right.
And instead of telling them to distract themselves or chew gum or use a nicotine patch, they gave them a very specific instruction.
Which was?
They said, go ahead and smoke.
I can just imagine the smokers looking at the doctors like, wait, is this a trick?
But there was a condition. The instruction was, go ahead and smoke, but I want you to be really, really curious about what it is like while you are doing it.
So mindfulness, but not the Zen master on a mountain kind. It sounds more like data collection.
Active investigation. Brewer calls it becoming an inner scientist. You aren't trying to change the behavior yet. You're just observing the data.
And what happened?
The results were hilarious. He quotes one participant. She had smoked for years. She does this exercise, she lights up, she smokes, and she really pays attention.
Okay.
She comes back and reports, smells like stinky cheese and tastes like chemicals. Yuck.
Stinky cheese!
Yeah.
I love that description. But here is my question. She had smoked thousands of cigarettes before. Did she seriously not know it tasted bad? How do you miss that?
She knew it cognitively, but she had never tasted it mindfully.
Ah.
Before, she was smoking for the reward, the relief, the dopamine hit. Her brain was skipping the experience to get to the result.
She was on autopilot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By forcing her to pay attention to the sensory details, she moved from knowledge to wisdom.
Okay, break that down. Knowledge versus wisdom, they sound like synonyms.
Knowledge is knowing in your head that smoking is bad for you. That's the PFC talking. That's the information.
Right.
Wisdom is knowing in your bones that smoking is gross.
Yeah.
That's a visceral feeling.
It's like the difference between your mom telling you the stove is hot and actually touching the stove.
That is the perfect analogy. Once you touch the hot stove and burn your hand, do you need willpower to stop touching it?
No.
Do you have to wake up every morning and say, okay, I really need to have the discipline not to touch the stove today?
Oh, you just stop. Because it hurts. You know it deep down.
That is wisdom. The value of the action drops to zero. Brewer calls this disenchantment. The spell is broken.
Right.
You aren't resisting a wonderful treat. You're realizing the treat isn't actually wonderful.
That is a huge shift. Because usually when I'm on a diet, I'm staring at the cookie thinking, I want that so bad, but I can't have it. The value of the cookie is still high in my mind.
Mm-hmm. You're just denying yourself. You're in a deprivation mindset.
Yeah.
But if you mindfully ate the cookie and realized, actually, this is overly sweet, it's kind of waxy, and it makes my stomach hurt, the craving diminishes naturally.
You don't have to fight it. You just lose interest.
Precisely.
So the strategy isn't don't do it. The strategy is look closer.
Yes. But there is a nuance here. A lot of people hear mindfulness and think distraction. They think, oh, I feel a craving, I should go for a run, or think about a waterfall to take my mind off it.
That's just another form of suppression, isn't it? You're running away.
It is. Brewer says you have to turn toward the craving. You have to get curious about the urge itself. You have to look the monster in the face.
Okay, so let's get practical. I'm listening to this, and I have a habit I want to break. Let's say it's checking my phone every time I hit a red light. Dangerous, illegal, bad habit.
Okay.
What do I actually do?
Okay, step one. Notice the urge. That's the trigger. I'm bored, where I feel a twitch in my hand.
Okay. Step two.
Step two. Get curious. Don't fight it, but don't pick up the phone. Ask yourself, what does this urge feel like in my body right now?
And what am I looking for? Like an emotion?
You're looking for specific physical sensations.
Mm-hmm.
Brewer lists things like, is there a tightness in your chest, a buzzing in your stomach, a heat in your face, a restlessness in your legs?
So we're decomposing the monster of craving into just physical symptoms.
Exactly. A craving feels overwhelming when you view it as a command. I must check phone. But when you view it as data, oh, there is a sensation of tightness in my sternum, it becomes manageable.
It's just a sense.
It rises, it peaks, and if you watch it, it falls.
The wave metaphor. You ride the wave rather than getting wiped out by it.
And here is the secret weapon.
Yeah.
Curiosity itself feels good.
Explain that, because craving definitely feels bad.
Well, think about what a craving feels like. It feels tight, anxious, frantic. It's a state of, I lack something. It's a closed fist.
Right.
Now think about what curiosity feels like.
It feels open, expectant, interested.
It's a positive state. So when you get curious about a bad craving, you are immediately swapping a negative emotional state for a positive one.
You're not just enduring the pain.
You're engaging with it. You're hacking the reward system again. Curiosity becomes the new reward.
That's brilliant.
You're teaching your brain, hey, when this trigger happens, we don't have to panic. We can just observe. That actually feels better than the anxiety of the craving.
Does this actually work, though, or is it just a nice theory? Because I can see myself getting curious and then just eating the cake anyway.
The data is surprisingly strong. Brewer's lab found that this mindfulness training was twice as effective as the gold standard therapy for quitting smoking.
Twice as effective. That's not a margin of error. That's a breakthrough.
And they backed it up with fMRI scans. This is where we get to peek under the hood at the brain networks involved. Brewer talks about the default mode network, or DMN.
The DMN, I've heard of this. This is the network that's active when we're daydreaming, right?
Yes, but it's also the network involved in self-referential processing. It's the story of me, I'm stressed, I need a cigarette, I am bored, why is this happening to me?
The me center.
Specifically, there's a hub in this network called the posterior cingulate cortex, or PCC.
Okay.
Brewer found that when people get caught up in a craving, when they are sucked into the drama of, I need this, this part of the brain lights up like a Christmas tree. It's highly active.
It's overheating. It's locking onto the object of desire.
But, and this is the cool part, when they shift into curiosity, when they just observe the sensation without judging it or acting on it, that region goes quiet.
It deactivates.
It deactivates.
That is incredible. So physically, curiosity steps you out of the self-lip. You stop taking the craving personally.
You step out of your own way, you break the loop, the I need story dissolves, and you're left with just raw data tightness, heat, tension.
Yeah.
And data is much easier to handle than a story.
This seems like it applies to so much more than just addiction. I'm thinking about anxiety loops. Or even just getting annoyed at people.
Absolutely. It's the same mechanism. You get an annoying email from a coworker. That's the trigger.
Okay.
You feel that heat in your chest and the urge to fire back a snarky reply. That's the behavior.
And usually hitting send gives you that momentary relief, the reward. Ha, I told them. But then you regret it 5 minutes later.
So apply the method, read the email, feel the heat, get curious. Oh, wow, look at how tight my jaw just got. Look at how fast my heart is beating.
Watch it rise, watch it fall.
And find what Brewer calls the joy of letting go.
The joy of letting go. I think that's the key phrase. We usually think of breaking habits as deprivation. We think we're losing something. But he's reframing it as a relief.
It is a relief to not be pulled around by your nose by every impulse that pops into your head. It's freedom.
So let's wrap this up with a clear plan for the listener, because we've covered a lot of brain science, PFCs, PCCs, DMNs, but I want to make sure they know what to do when they turn this off.
Sure. So usually we end these with a challenge to change something, but today we're going to do the opposite. We aren't asking you to quit smoking or stop eating sugar or delete Instagram today.
Don't change the behavior yet. That takes the pressure off.
Right. The challenge is simply to collect data. Be the scientist. The next time you feel a craving for anything, don't fight it, but don't do it mindlessly.
Pause. Take a breath.
And ask, what does this feel like?
Yeah.
Scan your body. Is it tight? Is it hot? Is it restless?
Taste the cigarette, taste the stale cookie, feel the anxiety of the doom scroll. Actually be there for it.
And see if, just by watching it, the craving loses a little bit of its power. See if you can find that moment of disenchantment.
It's really about shifting from I have to fix myself to I need to understand myself.
That's it.
Yeah.
Brewer leaves us with this profound thought. We usually treat our bad habits as enemies to be destroyed. But the real enemy isn't the habit. The real enemy is our lack of attention.
We've been sleepwalking.
Exactly. And the key to self-control isn't more discipline. It's just looking closer.
Waking up and tasting the stinky cheese. I think I can do that. Thank you for walking us through this. This feels like a tool I can actually use on a Tuesday night.
My pleasure. Just remember to stay curious.
That's it for this deep dive. Go be a scientist in your own life, and we'll catch you next time.